Obviously, loads to talk about today. I wanted to start with a bit of Man United because it's been rattling around my brain since last night because the group chat was just popping off yesterday. Oh, Mainoo's leaving.
Yeah, Kobe Mainoo should leave Man United. I told you this 2 years ago.
What's that?
I told you this 2 years ago.
What?
I told you this 2 years ago. Kobe Mainoo should leave Man United. I told you this. Do you think I'm joking, bro? I like the players. Me and Osam and Staffy, we had this argument yesterday. Staffy thinks he's worth that much. I think he's worth that much. I think the player is a brilliant player. I think he's generational talent. And for the good of the player, I genuinely think he should leave Man United now. Maybe you have a buyback clause or something like this. But I'm really worried for the kid's talent. The pressure on Man United. He's 19 years old and there's so much pressure on him. I really hope for the sake of the kid that he goes. Man United are not a good environment in the current moment.
Are you saying this from banter or being serious? Wallah, tell me.
Allah al-Azim, being serious.
Like for real serious? You're not bantering.
Of course, I understand why Man United fans won't want that. Of course, he's their bright shining star, blah, blah, blah. Right? But if you're asking me about Kobe Mainoo, if I'm advising Kobe Mainoo, I'm like, leave. Maybe if you love the club, come back. Put a buyback clause. But leave. Go develop somewhere else. Go develop in Bayern. Go develop in Real Madrid. Go develop somewhere else. Because Man United at the current moment, listen, I'm not sure if Amrim is going to be able to turn it around to the point that Kobe Mainoo will be able to thrive and actually give you his full potential. I believe this kid has a potential to be a world-class midfielder. When people talk about, me and Osam had this argument about Camavinga yesterday. I believe the kid is so talented. Might not be at Camavinga's level yet, but there are 3 years difference between them. Imagine if these 3 years he's developing in Real Madrid or somewhere else other than Man United. He's now developing in a club that the environment is not well. It's not fit. You are 14th in the league. There's a lot of pressure from the fans. And that is why I mean that the kid, for his own sake, should go to a more stable club. Unless you're going to tell me that Man United now are a stable club and the youngsters can flourish at Man United. If you tell me that, it's up to you. I don't see Man United at that level yet. Maybe in a year, maybe two. Now Man United are not a stable club. Kobe Mainoo, 19 years old, should go somewhere.
So look,
can I just say?
Yeah, you go ahead. I'll go after both of you.
Yeah, I'll say this about Kobe Mainoo. I wanted to ask Mo if he was bantering or not at the start, but he explained his logic and he's saying he's not bantering. And look, I would tend to agree with Mo, but there is one small caveat. Man United are not a failing club and are not a succeeding club right now. Man United are in that unknown zone where this could all, like essentially, Mainoo could be the Coutinho to Klopp. You get what I'm saying? Like Mainoo could be the guy that leaves just before they start winning. It's a possibility. It's not impossible for Man United to start winning, to start getting their shit together. All I'm simply saying is Man United are in the unknown. And Kobe Mainoo must ask himself, is he willing to take the risk with the unknown, with the new ownership, with Ineos, with the direction that they're headed in, and hopefully stuff change? Because that's what he has to ask himself. Now, in terms of like style and system, obviously, like it's not like Amarim plays without midfielders. He plays with midfielders. I know he had a bit of a knock, but he had a good game against Liverpool. Nothing special, in my opinion. I think Bruno was the best player for the United had. But overall, he had a good game. So let's say he had an okay game. Does he see himself guaranteed starter? Is he guaranteed, like, I'm going to start every single game for Man United and I'm going to be the Premier League guy when we go away to the Etihad?
I'm sorry, can you elaborate? Malish, I didn't understand.
I'll elaborate. Amarim plays with two midfielders, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the times. So if he plays with two midfielders, let's say Amarim's ideal two midfielders is Bruno and Ugarte. So one guy is the destroyer, one guy is the tackling guy, and the other guy is the 10, the more creative midfielder, if you would like. Now, in that setup, if you put Mainoo over Ugarte, you lose Ugarte's tackling, interceptions on the defensive side. And if you put Mainoo over Bruno, who if he continues to play like he did against Liverpool, because usually he's grenade launching, then you would lose out on the creativity, you would lose out on the more attacking threat, if you would like. So Mainoo's kind of in the middle player. Mainoo's like an Enzo, like a Wijnaldum, like someone like that, who's just an 8. McAllister, complete, you know? That's Mainoo. So it depends what the manager wants to do as well. We can't make this conversation black and white because it's not black and white.
Even if he starts, Hussam, I don't think you get my point. Even if he starts every game, Man United, the ship now is still not in the right place. And I'm just going to let Terry talk. But the ship now is not in the right place. It's not a good place for a 19 years old, to be honest, with that much talent. Let me tell you talk now.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few things in this. You saying that he should leave is one thing, okay? Him and his team are already publicly, they haven't done a direct address themselves, but they have come out and they have briefed the media and said that the player has got no concerns about his future and the player doesn't want to leave the club. So from my point of view, I'm not particularly worried about the idea of him leaving in the short term. In terms of the news yesterday that came out it wasn't even Ornstein that broke the news. Saturday afternoon, there was an article that came out. I don't remember the journalist who spoke about the likes of Mainoo and Garnacho not being untouchable at the club. And it named two players that were in Ahmad and Lenny Euros. They're the only two that are untouchable. Now what we're hearing is no one's untouchable. And I quite like that. I've seen a lot of United fans, it's a disgrace that we would think about selling our youth. Not really. It depends upon the context. If you actually read the article from Ornstein, it's very clear. United are not actively looking to sell any of these players. All they've stated, and I kind of like that they've put this out there. I think it's quite subtle, but it's just been pounced upon. If you're not performing, if you're not hungry, if you're not delivering, if you're not progressing how we want, you're not untouchable. Man United have had too many players that have been untouchable for too long a period. So we've had players, I would say, Adnan Januzaj didn't last long, but he burst onto the scene, looked good in the first 6 months, and then for about 2 years, we were flogging that dead horse, and he wasn't performing. But because he was an academy player, he was given that extra time, when actually we should have moved on sooner. The Paul Pogba situation, I loved him, but he didn't want to be here for a long time. We all knew
them
this.
at the time, he probably could have got 40, 50 million at the time, Januzaj.
Exactly. And sometimes you've got to strike when the iron is hot. Often you might make a mistake in doing that. You look at Chelsea getting Cole Palmer. That would be frustrating to do something along those lines. But by and large, I'm not against the idea that if someone isn't good enough, someone isn't delivering, and or a colossal amount of money is offered, especially for a player that's pure profit, I'm not against it. And the reason I say that is this. I think Januzaj, I think Mainoo's amazing. But let's take another example that was in that article, and that's Garnacho. Let's say this summer, Atletico Madrid offers £70 million for him. They're talking about 60. Let's just say it's 70. And United go, do you know what? He's good. He could definitely progress. He could definitely become a better player. However, we bring that in terms of investment into the squad, we could go out and buy 2 players because of spreading the cost over 5 years who are better than Adnan Januzaj. So from Man United's point of view, we could become a better team. The only problem I have with this is if we sold these players, brought the money in, and then we stop investing into the squad. But there's no evidence to suggest that we're going to stop investing into the squad. I don't think that, if you get where I'm coming from. So I think there's been a little bit of an overreaction from people to this news. There really is. Now, I'm not going to do correlation, and I'm not going to say that the news came out on Saturday and look at the performance on Sunday. The players all stepped up because they know they're untouchable. I don't think it's as basic and clear cut as that. But I think there's an element of truth to this. I want the players to feel like they have to deliver because they're not untouchable. They can be sold. They can be moved on if the price is right and if the situation is correct. That's how Man United operated all my life. All my life. The price was right for Beckham. The situation became right. He moved on. The situation was right. The price was right. Ronaldo moved on. This happened. Although Scholes and Giggs stayed forever, a lot of that is because the players said they never wanted to leave. If got to a point where enough money was offered and Fergie felt there was a better option out there, he'd have sold those players too to better Man United. This idea that, so I want Mainoo to be a star. I rate the kid massively, but I don't love Man United more than Mainoo. And if the situation is right and the money is correct, I'm not going to cry about it. I never did when I was younger, and I'm not going to start doing it now that I'm an adult. We move on from that. So for me, I think it's I'm quite excited about the message. Now, I don't want to lose him. I'm being honest about that. I'd hate to see
but
him.
Man United fans aren't in a position where they demand someone is unsellable, though. And I'll say this from the outside. Look,
they are demanding that. Man United fans have gone on
no,
stream.
no, I'm agreeing with you. Let me tell you the part.
about it.
Let me just tell you the thing that I'm trying to explain here. Big up, Mama Flossie. How are the lads? Big up. Let me just say this to all of you guys in the chat. Listen, because of what Terry's saying, I have this certain thing I want to say. I think every club has an unsellable. Every club has someone that is, you know, regardless how much money you give me, I'm not getting rid of him. Van Dijk, Salah, as an example for me. Maybe a City fan would say Rodri. Maybe a City fan would say
what
KDB,
about
Haaland,
Trent? Trent, no.
Haaland, whoever. Yeah, of course. Trent. I'm mentioning 2 or 3 examples from each club.
خلاص معلش ما
يا أخي relax يا أخي.
Arsenal,
would
why
be
you're
like
already rattled? خلاص, okay.
because I'm trying to explain a point and you're interrupting me midway to just point out that I didn't mention Trent when I said only
Why
2
didn't
players.
you mention
Yes,
Trent?
well.
No, I don't want to say.
Anyway, back to the topic. So when it comes to Man United, no one at Man United is at that level. Like no one at Man United is best in the world in his position, one of the best in the universe, top 3 in the world in his place, which is why everyone should be up for sale. That's why Terry is right. There's no such thing as I'm not going to sell this guy under no price. Because here's the thing with Kobe Mainoo. And actually, me and Staffy had this argument yesterday. If you want to sell Mainoo for 100 million, you should have sold him 6 months ago. After the FA Cup final goal, when his reputation was sky high, it was right here. You could have sold him for even more money at the time.
But they don't want to sell him. This is the point they're making. There is no active approach from the club to sell the player. They're negotiating a new deal. I like, though, that they've said that no one's safe. I think that's fair. As an employer myself, none of my staff are safe for life. They have to deliver. They have to do their job. If they don't deliver, if they don't progress, if they start making crazy demands in the middle of that, all right, we'll move you on. Liverpool should have done it with Trent. They've offered Trent a new deal. He said no for the last few years. They've let it run down to the situation. They should have gone, well, okay, we'll sell you. We'll find a buyer. Even if you'd have got £50 million for him, that would be an improvement. And I'll give you an example of unsellable. I understand that a lot of Liverpool fans in the last 5 years would say Mo Salah, unsellable. And that makes complete and utter sense. However, Mo Salah's coming towards the end of his career. Say you would have been offered £150 million for him 2 years ago and you sold him, but then you went and spent 80 million of that at the time on Alexander Isak, and then maybe Bowen replaced him on the right. You might now find yourself in a position with 2 much younger players where you're like, well, I know Mo left. I'm playing a hypothetical here. Mo left, but we've now got one of the best strikers in the world and a really good right-sided attacker. There's a point in time where clubs have to make these decisions. I think you've left it go too late with Mo. You can never get that kind of money for Mo now because of his age, right? Even though I think he's going to deliver for 2 or 3 more years and I think he's worth a new deal. If you were going to let him go, you should have got maximum money 2 years ago. And this is what I mean. When it comes to Mainoo, let's say Mainoo gets to 25, 26 and we're starting to realize he's going to go and play for Real Madrid. Then he isn't untouchable anymore. Then it's a case of, well, let's capitalize when he's at maximum value, when he's halfway through his contract, so that we have the red, especially as he's a pure profit player, so that we can turn around and say...
But can I give you the one disagreement, Terry? I literally agree 99% with what you're saying. There's 1% I disagree on, just 1% on a real. If you know your club is shit at buying players, you're not willing to take that risk. The reason why me, as a Liverpool fan for the past 5 years, I'm saying I don't want us to sell Mo is because I know it is categorically impossible. Okay, who's Mo Salah's replacement right now in the whole world? Mbappe, Vinicius, we're not getting either.
Yeah. So I understand that point in terms of, I'm giving you a hypothetical scenario here. All right. So I understand.
Can you put me top row? Because this guy lost to AC Milan. That would be really nice.
Yes. He's got to be at the bottom. He's got to be fair. That was great, by the way.